Oh God. Yeah, he does. Everything's right. He's I like how you do it.
Okay. Oh, I've added a little bit to it. It's typically the way it works. You're looking sorry. Bononi.
Bononi. Mark Bononi. And Clayton Swart. I like how you say Swart.
Yeah, you gotta do it. And we are back between two Yetis, and we're live-ish. We're here at the OASIS Lounge at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show 2018 with a familiar face. And he's, well, you are the boss, but you don't work with him.
He works for me.
Yeah, if you can believe I have a boss.
We've been invited here to the theatre inside the Hall of Fame.
Yep. Oasis.
The Oasis. This is a 3-room museum, isn't it, to the great legacy of swimming.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure most people who are tourists don't really know. So
yeah.
If you ever come by, this is a great place. So you guys are sponsors for the pavilion?
The Oasis, yes.
Yeah.
The Oasis. And we've been invited to do a 3-part discussion here live on the stage about crew health, mental health. Obviously you guys are doing insurance. That's the main suggestions. Do you want to give it a plug?
Well, yeah, I mean, thanks, Lee. It's always great.
You get your 30-second.
Okay, it's great to be back. Yeah, I've been in business for over 27 years and, work with many of the captains that are at the show, and that's why we do this Oasis. It's a great opportunity for all the captains and crew to come down and get out the heat.
You don't have a stand or anything. You're just here.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that knows us out there, we're not knocking on hulls and we're not out there pushing our products. Everyone knows what we are. Knows Mark real well, myself, and anyone else in the company. So it's great to be.
You started, didn't you?
I didn't start in Michigan, but I've been there forever. It seems like 13 years. Just over 13 years. We've been doing yacht crew for longer than that. Before, when yachts got big enough, where you actually need to provide a group line on board for a yacht to provide benefits to their group.
Right. So with insurance, then, so you do everything but the hull.
Correct.
We've got his tagline. I've heard it enough times. So that entails essentially just the crew, the people.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you do owners?
Well, I mean, yeah, we do have some boats that the owners are coming on board enough, or if it's if they're coming into U.S. waters or if they're foreign. But we do have a couple of owners on the policies.
And it's very cheap, from what I remember.
Yeah, it's very reasonable.
It's very affordable. Reasonable, sorry. Particularly because if they're going to be outside the United States, the cost of insurance is
yeah. So, how do you cover mental health?
Well, there's a lot of different aspects to it. Obviously, as brokers, we provide a variety of plans. So it's really, we present a couple of different options to the client, and each of those options may have different levels of cover for this particular situation. But what we've done as brokers, and because we know it's an important thing in the industry, is we've worked with the insurance companies to get them to understand how important of a topic this is, and how we need to make sure that this is incorporated within the insurance so that there is coverage there in the event that someone needs assistance.
How do you pre-screen? Or you're not allowed to?
Some plans do, some plans don't. But there's no way to really pre-screen what someone's going through at that time. someone could have never had an experience in their entire life, and then all of a sudden they have a loss of a parent, they have a loss of a crew member, loss of a sibling.
And we're dealing with young kids.
Yes,
Mainly,
absolutely. Yeah,
Is
absolutely.
there like a divide? So it's like from 18 to 30, and then everyone comes ashore and then they go back, or is it?
It used to be that way. It used to be that way. It's become much more of a career, long-term career. We have a lot of captains that are in their 50s, even some in their 60s, that have been in the industry for 30 years or longer. So,
And we're also, I mean, we are seeing, I mean, on the crew side, we're seeing a lot more crews staying on boats. You know, like Mark was saying, it is becoming it's becoming a career. I mean, when I was back in, I was doing crew 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, it was more like, oh, we'll just get on a boat and
It
go
was
and have
never a
fun.
career, was it?
No, it was
It was
more,
what you did instead of doing your gap year,
yeah.
running crew.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what's great about it. I think, we definitely see it from, I'm very passionate about mental health because it's rampant. I mean, we see a lot of it. And, I think it's always been in the industry. Everyone asks, how come everyone hasn't spoken about it? Well, it hasn't really, it's been in the industry. Not a lot of people have been talking about it. And I think a lot more people, a lot more boats are out there, a lot more crew, a lot more people are starting to talk about it.
We're talking mental health as in the normal problems that people have on shore. It's just confined
Spaces. Yeah.
yeah, and it's confined spaces and it's unusual places. You're not at home. You're in some island that you've never been to before. You're in another part of the world where you don't have a support system like you would here at home.
Yeah.
If somebody had been committed, do we still commit people?
Yes, absolutely.
If somebody had been committed before, is that something you're allowed to screen for?
Sure, you can ask the questions.
So they don't have to answer?
Well, they're supposed to answer.
Yeah. See, we've got other, Lee. We've got different policies that we sell. I mean, when we sell a policy to an American crew on an American flag, it's a lot more. It's a lot richer plan. You don't have to. There's not a lot of questions.
There is no pre-screen.
There's no pre-screening. It's all ACA compliant. It's so much easier. But the wellness is a great plan because it's that plan is it's a great option. Now our other plans that we sell, that's the plans that we you have to write out a questionnaire. Every crew member has to do a questionnaire. Everyone's used to it. It's out there.
I'm going to ask a leading question from one of your fellow sponsors.
Yes.
Is it then safer to have a crew on a boat that's come through a training agency?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. No
Definitely.
question about that.
Because do you know Colin Swan?
Yes, I know the name.
Mm-hmm. So he used to be a captain for 20 odd years.
Sure.
And he was regaling me a story that the way he used to pick up crew is he'd walk down the dock and there'd be a guy going, "Hey, I need a job." He'd say,
Yes.
"Yep, jump on."
Yes.
And then you're off. And you can't just throw them overboard if they didn't work out.
Right.
So he found himself in one situation with a chef where he was in a knife fight in the galley
Wow.
at his throat, and he had his jaw dislocated and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So, how do you ensure against violence that perpetrates from somebody being mentally unwell?
Well, just getting back to that, I mean, the great thing about, we are a big advocate of the crew agencies. I mean, we work with them all, and,
Safety.
it is, and we do a lot of talks, we do a lot of talks at MPT and Blue Waters, and, we like to, knowledge is key, and I think that's the great thing about the business is even from the health side, I don't come from the insurance background, I come from the crew background, and a lot of other backgrounds. But
Yep. Well, no, I wasn't crew.
How were you?
I was a pilot, so it's aviation. It's very similar. Very similar.
Commercial or?
Doing private charter, so very similar to working on a charter yacht.
Time out. Why did you stop being a pilot?
Because it's boring. That's why.
And then, so you went from a pilot's job because it's boring to insurance?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Indeed.
And as you just said outside, insurance is boring.
Yes, it is. But we're not.
But we're not.
Yes.
Right.
Well, but you know what the thing with insurance, everyone always says that to me, is, wow, you're in insurance, you don't have the personality, you don't have, you're not really an insurance.
What is an insurance guy's personality?
But you know what? Well, it is. It's very, I think
Steady Eddie.
The stereotype is.
very,
Yeah.
very. But you know what the thing with this is anyone that knows me, I like to help people. I mean, that's what I like to do. And I think in the insurance, you are very personal with people, and you know the ins and outs, you know the pre-existing, and you're trying to basically help them get the best plan that they can for a cost that they can afford. I think that's one key for us. Is it's not just me going out and wanting to make a commission. It's definitely when I'm looking at my friends or my clients, it's there to help them out.
If I was going to be a crew on a boat, why wouldn't I have insurance?
Because you're invulnerable. You're invincible.
Yeah.
You're not going to get hurt or sick.
Surely, if I work on a boat, I should assume that the boat's going to look after me if something goes wrong.
You can make that assumption, yes.
Yeah.
Now, yes, there are.
So as an employee, as a crew member, are you not an employee or an independent contractor?
You're typically an employee, yes. And yes, you are covered if you fall down the stairs by the vessel owner. But there's a lot more time when you aren't covered.
They can get out of it.
Well, keep in mind that that's going to be a liability claim. That's not health insurance, right? So you're in the hospital, laying in the hospital bed or whatever you're doing. Who's going to pay the bill?
Is this where you then start fighting?
Potentially.
Liability versus health.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
But a lot of times, and that's why we come in, is that we do, and that's the reason why we don't do whole insurance, is because we work a lot with the whole insurance carriers. They see us as an extra bonus to their clients.
So does whole insurance, apart from the hull, if somebody slips down some stairs,
it's a liability. Yeah, it's called P&I. It's protection and indemnity, and it's liability coverage. Exactly what it is for the owner.
How many layers of insurance are there?
A lot. Yeah, there's a lot because you
can't even say it, can you?
Well, I don't know them all, but certainly you have the whole P&I, your crew insurance, you have your pollution, you have there's several.
Cyber.
Yeah,
Now.
there's several different types of insurance that are on board on an active yacht.
That's why the boat show is full of lawyers and insurance agents.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
But a lot of times, I mean, there are a lot of insurance brokers out there. There's a lot of them. But a lot of times, we have a niche. We have the crew. We deal with the crew. A lot of these other insurance brokers out there, and we deal with a lot of them because they don't do our portion of the insurance. So a lot of times they will come to us. They'll say, they have a boat that they clean and haul the P&I for. Can we give them a quote? And we can turn those around pretty easily.
It's a very personalized thing to do, the crew health, because it's just a different kettle of fish from insuring the boat itself, or even just insuring someone who lives and works in the United States. It's a very unique thing when you talk about crew and the crew needs and the crew lifestyle, and understanding that you're not just dealing with one nationality, you're dealing with 6 in one group. And their various backgrounds, their various understanding of what is actually insurance anyway, is quite different. An American will understand the word insurance meaning one thing. A South African may seem as something else. A Brit might see it as something else. And so part of our job is to help them understand.
What were you saying outside about insurance not being a choice?
Yeah. No, insurance is not insurance. Because again, when someone hears that word, when they hear the word insurance, it means something different to everyone. So, for example, if you have someone from the UK and you say that they have insurance, well, they just assume it covers it like the NHS, which means you don't pay anything, you just walk into the doctor, he fixes you, and you walk out.
3 months later,
Yeah, well, yes, indeed. Yeah, and so there's that perception of, I have insurance now, so everything's covered and I don't have to worry. Well, that's not always the case. In fact, most of the time, it's not the case. Because these plans are designed with exclusions and limitations and restrictions.
And especially for the foreign flags.
Non-US boats.
And non-US boats, there's a lot of exclusions. And as a foreigner, you're used to that. And it's hard to take an American crew member and put it on. If they've used that policy, we have a lot of American crew that are on those plans and they get used to them. But there's a lot of exclusions because you're paying a lot less for coverage. Obviously, your American crew and your crew flags have a robust plan, and you're paying a lot more.
And that's if the boat stays here.
You have to be out of the country for what 6 months? 6 months of the year. So and that's why they're designed. It's funny because we also in MHG we do a lot of domestic, meaning any place in the States. And you look at a robust plan that all this crew have. You're paying $800-900 for a plan that these guys are paying $180 to $200 per crew member per person per month. So if you're looking at the coverage, they're expecting you to be out of the country for more than 6 months,
right.
And that's fine because a lot of these boats now, they're either in the Med or they're in the Caribbean. They're just doing their milk runs, but it's you can definitely see the change, and crew members don't know how lucky they have it with our planes. It's hard because in the summer I sell domestic plans, to companies, and if you saw the premiums on how much per employee people are paying for, $5,000, $7,200 out of pocket, it's a big plan. When a crew member comes on and he's got a $250 deductible, I mean, they don't realize how lucky they really have it, and it's all of it's worldwide.
So what are the problems you normally see then, from a claim perspective?
They have no idea how to do it. They have no idea how to make a claim. They have no idea if they're covered for anything.
Really?
Yep, absolutely. Unfortunately, it's a big communication issue because typically it might be the captain that's handling the insurance for the crew, but often it's not. And so
it's just one of those things because you get the insurance because you have to have it, and you put it in a drawer, and then you're
a lot of times, yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and the crew sometimes don't even know if they have it or not. They just kind of go.
And I mean,
but it is the thing of not being an American. You've got to have it.
Yes.
But me being British,
Right.
until something's wrong,
Yes.
I'm not going to really.
Right. And I do a talk every week at the training school, and I talk to the new crew coming into the industry. I just explain to them that you have to make this proactive effort before you're on charter.
Are you trying to make this like a regulatory thing? So you have to have insurance.
No,
Because it doesn't. What happens if you don't?
Yeah, I mean, well, if you don't, you can find yourself in bankruptcy or in a lawsuit. You're suing somebody probably. If it's a big injury or a big illness, because in the United States, I don't know if you know this or not, but here in the U.S., the number one cause of bankruptcy is healthcare costs, even for people who have insurance. So, because the cost of care here is so expensive, and non-American crew have no idea about that, and so they may not have insurance. They come here, they go to the clinic or whatever, and find out that they've got something that they need surgery or something like that, and they've blown $15,000. They have no idea.
The number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States is down to
Healthcare. Yep.
well, and I think what's the scary thing about young crew too is how many times do you hear, I'm healthy, I'm in my 20s, I'm invincible, I'm not sick, I don't get sick.
Yeah.
Well, those are the guys that are kiteboarding and surfing, going skiing and getting into places, guys like us, we're slowing down. We don't do those things anymore. So it's not like we're turning 40 next year. Cut that.
slowing down.
No, but I tell you, for every time we do presentations a lot on our boats when we bring them in or our clients, and you see all the young people sitting in the room going, well, do I need it or don't? And it's, they really need it because you never know.
The story. Go on, regale that one.
Oh, the mama.
That's a classic one. That's one. Have you heard this one yet? Oh, this is good.
We also do a lot of international coverage, and we can do from a day coverage. I mean, I always say to people, it's like buying a bottle of water. You basically can have coverage for a day for $1 million coverage for a bottle of water, $3 a day. And we do a lot of brokers, a lot of charter brokers and selling brokers, and anyone that's going down to the Caribbean. And in the and it was the Antigua charter show. I sell it to a lot of people in the business. But one of the guys that was staying in my house, he didn't get the coverage. Now, for someone like myself going down for a week, it's about $25 for the week. And he didn't get that coverage. Well, he got really, really, really sick. I mean, it was actually pretty scary. I mean,
It's number one boat show rule.
Yeah.
Don't eat food off the street.
Well, I've had many mama burgers, and I'm sure everyone has. But it was pretty scary. I mean, he had to he had to go to the doctor to get drips, and I mean, he spent, I'm sure a lot of money on that. And if he had coverage, it would have been covered. And that,
See, stupid things like that.
yeah,
That's what I would assume most of your insurance claims are over. Nonsense. The big stuff happens, but it's not as frequent as I would expect something.
well,
like
you
that.
know what it is, and it's such a hard thing because it's such a small policy, and people forget about it. When you're traveling, you're excited. You're going on a trip. You're not worried about your health insurance, or you're worried about getting hurt. Well, it's very hard to tell people. I mean, I know for a fact, 6 years ago, I've been with MHG, but 6 years ago, I wouldn't think of getting health insurance. I just went on my trip and came back. It doesn't. You don't think, okay, your checklist is your health insurance is one of the checklists. Yeah. It just isn't. But now that I'm in the insurance business and I see the claims, I don't deal with the claims. We have a department that, and Mark sees the bigger ones. But when you start seeing all these, claims that are coming in and what they really are paying for and how it works, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Cool. All right, let's just do stories then, as we wrap up. I mean, what's a typical example of something that goes wrong? Apart from Mama's Burger.
Well, another very common thing in the Caribbean is scooter accidents.
Getting burned.
Well, or getting hit by a car, or having an accident while you're on a scooter. That happens quite regularly. Yeah, happens quite regularly.
Yeah.
And of course, unfortunately, there's also some times where you're leaving a bar at a very early hour and you're on your own and not in the
I've worked
best.
out how you can sell insurance. You market to the parents.
Yeah.
Their 20-year-old son is going on a boat.
Yeah.
They'll pay for it.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine that saying.
Yeah. And the boat isn't going to cover that. I mean, if you're out on, not on the town and you walk out of the bar and you get mugged, the boat's not going to pay for that.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that you just have to be, it takes a little bit of vigilance, obviously, but it's also just happenstance. Wrong place, wrong time. You can't control that kind of stuff. So that kind of stuff happens. The other one that happens is from all the activities that the crew do. How many times have you been kite surfing? I don't know, 20, 30 times. Well, guess what? The 31st time, it bites you. Just because it just does. When you have those kind of activities, you end up with broken arms, broken legs, shoulder dislocated, that kind of stuff. It just happens. Yeah.
Do you work with people like Becky, where they have their medical kits?
We dovetail. We don't really work together because that's not an insurance thing. That's just the medical care that they can provide on board until they can get somewhere, hopefully, to get full triage or whatever they need. But Becky and I have, and Clayton, we've known each other for years, and we do talk a lot about how what we see in terms of common things that crew illnesses, crew accidents, things like that. Most vessel owners now understand that I need to be providing insurance to my crew because it helps protect me as well. As the owner of the boat.
That's what you do, right? You do more group packages now?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We've got JW in my office. He deals a lot with the crew individually. Anything and obviously on our cruise division, but I focus mainly on
you cover
groups.
cruise ships as well?
Yes. Anybody who is on a floating vessel anywhere in the world, we provide something to probably.
Anything. We do trip cancel. The trip cancellation. There's so much insurance. It was funny because Mark was saying the other. We went to a big meeting and we were talking about all the insurances, and he's like, "Yeah, I could put it on 2 pages of how much we can cover." It's just, there's unfortunately or fortunate there's a lot of stuff that can be insured, and it's preventative. What I always tell, because I'm South African, I don't really know the American, culture. I've been here a long time, so I'm figuring it out. But what it is, it's about preventative. That's when you get a plan, yes, you're there for the big stuff, but definitely use it. Go to your doctors and use your plans because you've got it in place for you to prevent the big, the big issues.
See, this wasn't boring.
No.
Well, it's, I always say that we actually did have that motto for a couple years in our company. Insurance is boring, but we're not. I mean, we probably still have some shirts in our marketing archives.
But actually said that.
Yeah.
Oh no, you were wearing one the other day, weren't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we do because, again, the stereotypical insurance person is just, you think of a stodgy guy in a shirt and tie that, is sort of robotic and whatever, and that's just not what we are.
You see me in shorts and that's in the sun.
Yeah. We're just, we're about caring. That's also a big difference. And most of the companies that we associate with, that's what they're about too, and what they do. They care about their clients, they care about their crew. We care about. I think the long term. I mean, the long term career that this has kind of become in yachting has kind of led to these issues becoming more prominent. Because if you're only on boats for 2 or 3 years and you're just having a blast and making a bunch of money and then you leave, you're probably not going to run into so many cases of mental wellness and health and well-being. But now that it's a career opportunity and more people are spending multiple years and maybe a decade or more on a ship, you run into more of these situations where, over time the body gets wore down, not just physically, but mentally. And you've got changing crew, you've got maybe an aggressive captain or whatever that can cause issues, aggressive owners, you get aggressive guests on board. Yeah. There's a lot of things that can just wear you down.
I hadn't thought about it. You are working 12, 16-hour shifts, aren't you?
Potentially.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, it stops then. Yeah.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, it stops then. I mean, there's no rule on a private yacht. There's no rule as to how much sleep you're allowed.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, back in my days of crew, we would have charters on, and we would take shifts. We would sleep for 2-3 hours, and then the other crew took over, and then we would get up at 3 in the morning if we had we were doing a big party. We'd just keep rolling on and stuff like that. I mean, when you have downtime, but when you work hard.
Yeah.
But it's. I think that's the great thing about the industry. I think it's starting to, people are starting to put their hands up and go, well, hang on, it needs to be looked at differently. I mean, it's definitely on the health side. When I was in crew, there wasn't any health. You didn't really need health insurance. I got myself an international policy from South Africa that I used, and I used it once in a while. It's fine, but over the years, you've seen it progress. That you've seen more and more people getting policies and getting stuff in place, and it's like anything. I mean, it's like your training. I think it's a great thing for the crew because you're only going to get better.
Well, this leads very well into our second part, which will be about physical health, well-being. I've never been on a crew on a boat. I've only ever stayed on a boat. I've never stayed in the crew quarters. So it's going to be interesting to hear firsthand how arduous that is.
Yeah.
Certainly different boats have different schedules, but there are vessels here in the show that are, you just know the names of them and you kind of learn about the reputation of how that boat runs and how that boat's operated, and you just.
Oh, maybe that should be the off. Okay, let's end this now. This is just the off section. So who are the bad boats?
Well, we can see. It's
Do you
funny.
have blacklists against people?
No, we don't.
Who does?
No. I would suspect the crew placement agencies would have that information.
But in four captains this year.
But what's great about it, well, not great about it, but you can tell, when you have a boat that has, 10 crew on it or 8 crew, but we've seen in turnover on our policies, that we're doing 20, 25 in a year.
Yeah.
That's a problem boat. And there is definitely boats out there.
That's
now,
an absolute topic.
that could be because of they're chartering a lot, they're turning over. And you can see a lot of crew now, they're doing rotations. They're doing rotations even down to your first mates. That's great because it's keeping them fresh, and it's you're bringing on different crew at different time. I think that's a great, and then it would help all of us. I think that's what what's so great and what I love about the yachting industry, it's kind of a circle of everything, because you start at one end, and if everyone is working together on the wheel, everything works out well. You know, if these crew are overworking, it's going to affect us. It's going to affect every part of the pie. So I think it's.
Well, our time has come to an end, gentlemen.
Oh, already?
I know.
I mean,
it wasn't that boring.
You were going. How long is this going to take? I don't think I can talk for that long.
Yeah, well, that's one of the challenges that, you know, we can talk a lot about insurance because we've been doing it so long. We know a lot about, you know, what crew do and what crew run through and things like that. So, and we're passionate. Obviously, we're passionate about what we do, which sounds a little
Which
bit.
is odd.
Yeah.
You're passionate about insurance.
Well, I think it's because we want to help people. I think that's really
at the end of the day.
You know, when you see, I mean, I just saw a captain the other day. He's in Dick's, and the poor guy's had like 3 knee surgery. He's had 3 surgeries on his knee, but he's getting better. It's so great to see the success stories. You know, you always hear about the bad and how the insurance is not working. And, you know, yes, the hard thing about us, which thank goodness I don't deal with a lot, is the claims. Is, you know, there's always issues. But when you talk to a captain or crew member and he has a success story, that's great. You know, that to me it makes
us feel good.
It makes us feel good because, all right, that's when you are talking to that not so nice captain. He's talking to a nice guy. That's great.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And we'll join some part 2. What am I signing? That was one. I don't have a song. This one's there.
Anybody can fly it. I mean, it's the question. Yeah, right? Yeah, sounds like fun.
I think it's
Golf clap?
Marketing department.